Very good day. So this is the recording for work topic of work equipment hazards. KUK3562. So lesson outcome at the end of this session, you should be able to understand and describe suitability of work equipment, use as maintenance of equipment with specific risk, and other outcome of this topic. So for introduction, employees and the self-employed must ensure that work equipment is suitable, maintained, inspected, and provided with adequate information and instruction and only used by people who have received sufficient training. So if we can relate it with the OSHA 1994, it is the duty of the employer to provide a safe and healthy workplace. So it is also can be reflected on this part, which is to provide a safe and healthy workplace is to provide work equipment that is safe to be used by the workers. Also, one of the important thing in providing a safe work equipment is to also provide information and also instruction and also training to those who will be using the equipment. When work equipment is provided by the employer, the work equipment must conform with standards, whether it is a new equipment or second-hand equipment. The integrity of the equipment must be on top notch, and also the suitability of the equipment with the place that it will be used, and also the purpose of the equipment that will be used. So this three things is integral when deciding which equipment will be used, depending on its the location and where it will be used. Whether, for example, if you are exposed to water, maybe the equipment should be waterproof or something like that. And then it's the purpose of it. So rarely we do have a multi-purpose equipment, but do not do not use equipment other than the what is the equipment is purposed to be used to. So you should have a proper risk management before using the equipment to specific specific tasks that you are assigned to. The suitability of equipment, so I've mentioned before under OSHA 1994, and then regarding to the CE marking here, CE is specific for equipment that will be used in Europe. For Malaysian, usually we rely on CRIM certification. So before purchasing or using any equipment, make sure it is CRIM certified. So at least we'll be able to confirm that there are certain inspection has been conducted to ensure that the equipment will be in a safe and good working condition. Next is about use and maintenance of equipment with specific risk. So it is better for the equipment to be repaired, modified, or maintained, or serviced, in fact, by the designated person. It could be the supplier or manufacturer of the equipment. It could be somebody within your organization that has been trained to do so. So for those who are using it once in a while and not that familiar with the equipment, it is not advised for them to do the maintenance of the equipment unless you are trained to do so. Okay. So for every equipment, we are using the equipment or doing any work, we should rely on there should be in my mind the hierarchy of control. So we shouldn't just for every equipment that we want to use, we always put PPE as the first hierarchy of control. It is wrong. Always remember that PPE is the last resort, the least preferable control. So you start with elimination, isolation, and whatnot. So always remember that. Try to think out of something that could be used to protect yourself, to control the hazard. Then if there is no other measure that could be taken, then you could go for PPE. Next is maintenance and inspection. So the equipment must be properly maintained. This is to ensure that it can be operated safely and then it can be operated as it is designed for to. So how should you know on how to do the maintenance? So it could be stipulated by the manufacturer's instruction. So it also depend on the amount of use, working environment, also the type of equipment. For example, if the manufacturer mentioned that, you can also relate to the vehicle. For example, if they say that the lubricant must be replaced every 6 months at maximum, so you need to follow the requirement that has been set by the manufacturers. And also the amount of use, if you use it heavily, maybe instead of replacing the lubricant in every 6 months, maybe you should replace it in every 2 months or 3 months. The working environment, if you are the one I'm using the analogy is vehicle lah. If you are working in a dirty environment, in environment where the road is not that too good, then maybe the maintenance will be more frequent. And also the type of equipment. If it is if the equipment or vehicle is designed to be used in the environment, in off-road environment, then maybe the maintenance will be less compared to those vehicle that is not designed to be in that environment, but you use it. So this is the analogy with relate to the equipment, but I put it example as a vehicle lah. Maybe you'll be able to reflect more if it is a vehicle. So there is a few types of maintenance, but the three types that I would like to highlight is the first one is preventive plant maintenance, or we call it PM, preventive maintenance. So it could be annual preventive maintenance, or maybe every 6 months. So depending on the requirements set by the manufacturer, and also depending on the requirements set by the organization itself. So before it is broken, you do the maintenance. So this is preventive maintenance. If it even not broken yet, we should do the maintenance to prevent the equipment from being broken. The last one is the breakdown based maintenance, which is after it has breakdown, then you need to maybe shut down the equipment and then do the maintenance. So this is more to reactive action lah, compared to preventive and condition based maintenance, which is both two are preventive maintenance. Means you are proactive instead of waiting for it to be broken down before making the maintenance. You prevent it. You proactively prevent it from breaking down. So the other one is condition-based maintenance. So this is different from preventive maintenance, whereby you need maybe depending on the frequency of your inspection. For example, if it is a daily inspection, so you check it daily, and if it is if you think that based on your experience, your competency, you think that the equipment need to undergo maintenance, then you just do it. So preventive maintenance is based on set period, whether it is monthly, every 6 months, every year. But condition-based maintenance is based on your observation at the time. So it is more frequent, it is more realistic, uh, it is better lah compared to preventive maintenance, but it will incur some cost lah compared to preventive maintenance, whereby we allocate some budget for it to be done in annually or monthly. But condition-based maintenance is sort of like ad hoc preventive maintenance. So it is not based on a certain period lah. So basic control that should every equipment should have is, for example, start control, which is basic one, stop control, and then the most important one is, especially for equipment with risky equipment, you should have emergency stop control, or we call it emergency stop button. So in case of an emergency, instead of relying to the off button, you should have emergency stop button whereby you can just push that button immediately so that it can stop immediately. So it is crucial, for example, if it is rotating equipment, if it is shearing equipment, if it is cutting equipment, instead of trying to find the off button, you should have a prominent emergency stop button whereby you just can push that immediately if you find any hazard related to it. The other one is isolation lah. So this one I will talk further in this topic. Next is stability. It is important and normally achieved by bolting the equipment in place so that, for example, it won't be shaking because the shaking of the equipment could cause additional hazard. Okay, the marking, and also labeling of the equipment. So maybe in terms of it, if the equipment has many button, so you should have proper marking or proper labeling to ensure that the worker know which button to be pushed, which button should be used. This is the crucial one, which is the user responsibilities. So it is a duty of employee, as stated in OSHA 1994, whereby the employee should take reasonable care for themselves and others when they are using a certain type of equipment. So they also should uh, use the equipment based on the instruction, also training that have been provided. So they shouldn't take a shortcut. They shouldn't use the equipment out of the scope of the equipments. And then in case when they are using the equipment or before they are using the equipment, when they do the inspection, they notice that there are certain unsafe condition, they should report it to the employer so that they can prevent the equipment from being used, they can prevent the damage from causing any injuries or any ill health to other workers. So we go to handheld tools. Handheld tools ni there is many type of handheld tools, but we'll touch about some of the basic safety rules lah. The basic one should, for example, keep it in good condition and regular maintenance. Use the right tool for the job. Examine each tool before and after using it. So it is your duty as a user to check it before and also check it after so that those who are using it next won't be facing any difficulties when using the equipment. Maybe you should also clean the equipment so that it will be easier for the next person to use it. And never ever use damaged tools. Whether you are using it for a short period of time or whether you'll be using it for a long period of time, always find a replacement for the damaged tools. Maybe you should repair it before you use it. Use tools according to the manufacturer's instruction. Do not supersede the manufacturer's instruction. Then if you have already exhausted other high curve control, then you should simply supplement with the usage of PPE. Common hazard related to hand tools, for example, broken handle on files, incorrect use of knife. For example, instead of using screwdrivers, you use knife uh, to to turn the screw or nuts or something like that. The other one is when you are using the knife, always push the knife outwards, not towards you, but outwards you. So we will never know whether when you slip when you are pressing the knife towards you and then you slip and maybe the knife might injure you. Okay, the other issue could be the handles on the equipment. Maybe uncomfortable handle could cause damage to your hand, could injure you. But it also might cause you to deviate from your actual job lah. Okay, so for example, if you are working at height, so certain equipment such as screwdrivers, spanners, and something like that, or even hammers, it should be attached to your body. Maybe you have some rope or something like that that could hold the equipment in case your hand slip on it. So at least if the slip from your hand, there is something attached to the equipment to your body. It could prevent it from falling down and cause injuries to other people that is working uh, uh, below. So flying particles that damage eye from breaking up stones or concrete, that is why it is important for you to use eye protection. Whether you are the one working with the hazard or whether you are the one working nearby the hazard. So both parties should have a proper eye protection. Next is electrocution of burns by using incorrect or damaged tools. So and this is another one is use of poorly insulated tools. This one is more to either it is for home work or whether it is related to electricity. So consideration that should be made when using hand tools such as suitability, inspection before and after using it, training. So use well-designed or high-quality tools. So instead of cutting budget by purchasing and using low-quality tools, you should invest more to ensure that your equipment is in high quality. Okay. Other hazards such as entanglement, coming into contact with cutting blades, electrocution as mentioned before, tripping hazard. This is a common one whereby there is trailing cables all over the place. So the cable management should be on top notch so that maybe instead of let it lie down, maybe you can put it in a casing or something like that, so that people instead of getting slip and trip, maybe they can step on it properly. Okay, eye hazard from practicals I mentioned before. So handheld power tools, important part is guarding. Same goes to the other equipment. You should have proper guarding, proper operating control and switches. So the switches, if you usually for handheld tools, they don't have their own MGC stop button. So the switches should be easily accessible, so that in case of an MGC, they can just shut it down immediately. And also safe operation instruction. Uh, Actually, for every items that you buy, you should read the manual, the safety manuals. We rarely do it. Assimilation, maybe we rarely use it, read it, but actually it is a habit that you should build. Me myself, when I buy something, electrical equipment especially, I just take some time to read it. Uh, Maybe without reading it, I can operate it well. But just to be safe, maybe there are hidden function that we won't know if we didn't read the instruction manual. So just take some time, especially if it is hazardous new equipment, handheld power tools or something like that. Just take some time to read the instruction manual. So I'll just show some example of handheld and also the control measure that it has. Example, this is the grinder. Uh, the most hazardous part is abrasive grinding disc lah. So there are a few hazards that we'll discuss. For example, the disc might shatter um, due to the disc integrity. Maybe it has worn down, but you still use it because you want to cut some budget. So example of protection that it has, control that it has is movable guards. So uh, at least it can protect the back part of the equipment from touching your hand. You can see that the side handle is just beside the disc. So the movable guard is the one that will be protecting your hand. So yeah, the other part is this is sort of uh, disadvantage to those who are left-handers or orang kidal. So sometimes most of the time we design our equipment for those who is right-handed. So for this equipment, for example, it is designed so that the side handles can be screwed to either side. So maybe for those left-handers, they prefer different position, so they can put it on the other side. So it is fitting the equipment to the user, not fitting the user to the work equipment. So if it is fitting the user to the equipment, those who left-handers need to use whichever equipment that is fitted for the right-handers. They could this could cause awkward position, which could cause injuries. So this is a good practice, the good provision by the manufacturer, so that the side handle can be screwed to either side. Trigger switch is positioned well for this case, whereby it is easy for us to turn it on and also turn it off. Next, we go to the other equipment. So over here, we have the face guard to protect you from any flying debris. But still, although it already has the tongue guard, the face guard, sorry, not the tongue guard, but the face guard. So you should always take extra precaution by using eye protection and maybe face protection. Okay, the other one is tongue guard, so that it will not pull you or pull your sample into the rotating equipment. side guard so that the rotating equipment part is not exposed that much. So the exposed one is the one you will be using. The tool rest so that you can put your sample on the tool so that you won't be shaking that much lah. The power switch is fitted at a strategic location so that you can turn it off immediately in case of any emergency. So this is an example of mechanical and also machinery hazard that we discuss about. Abrasion and injection hazard, entanglement hazard, crushing hazard, shear hazard, cutting hazard, and also drawing in hazard. The most scariest one could be the drawing in hazard because you are exposed to it very, very much. So classification of machinery hazard. First one, or just go briefly, the crushing hazard through being trapped between a moving part. So for example, stamping machine, if it is a heavy stamping machine, it could cause crushing hazard to you. It could. The other one is shearing hazard. It could relate to the grinding machine, it could relate to sanding machine or something like that. Cutting or severing hazard, this is for example the bandsaw or rotating cutting disc. The scarier part is when you go to any market whereby they are cutting the chicken using this this bandsaw blades. So we are afraid that if they are not that very careful, they could cut their hand or their fingers when using it. It is one of scarier part of cutting the chicken in or beef or something other meat when in the market. So entanglement hazard usually revolve around rotating equipment lah. So that's why when you are using rotating equipment, always remember that you should not wear any loose clothing. So it should be fit. It should be close. The clothing should be close to your bodies. Usage of glove. If you need to use the glove, make sure it is fitted to your hand so that it didn't dangle and catch in any rotating equipment. Drawing in or trapping hazard between running gears, wheels or rollers, or between belts and also pulley drivers. Impact hazard such as hammer, such as for example if it is work robots, when robot is turning and you are in the turning radius, you might get hit by the robot itself. Stabbing or puncture hazard, for example sewing machine, the most obvious one. Contact with friction or abrasion hazard, for example grinding wheels or sanding machine. High pressure fluid injection, for example hydraulic system. Maybe the liquid is in pressurized, then somehow it leaks, so that the pressurized liquid could hit you lah. So example of machinery hazard you are frequently exposed to, for example photocopier. You might the hazard could be about the if it is uh, industrial photocopier, it could involve rotating equipment, something like that, and also cutting. So sometimes when they are printing the books, they have a proper cutter. So if you are exposed to that cutter, you could injure yourself. Other than that, the common one is construction, for example, concrete mixer or bench mounted circle saw. So there are a lot of machinery hazard that you're exposed to. Just be careful when you are exposed to it. Then we talk about the safeguard of the hazard that we have talked about. The dangerous part of machinery should be controlled based on hierarchy of control. That's the keywords. And then we'll talk about some protection or guarding that are in place. If you buy a proper equipment, the guarding is in place lah. If you buy a not so good equipment, maybe the guarding is not in place. Okay. We have a look of some example. For example, shaft. If it is rotating equipment over here, over here. This shaft is in the shaft in this protection in this guarding there is rotating shaft. So this is the crucial one where we need to protect ourselves because usually it is rotating in a very high RPM. So we might injure yourself. It could also cause death if you're exposed to it. Then for chain and sprockets, for example, in our motorcycles, it should be protected. We have several incidents whereby the clothing of ladies especially get trapped in chain and sprockets because they didn't have a proper guarding, proper guard. Okay. Rack and pinion gears, meshing gears, counter rotating rolls. So this part, this neck part is required to be protected with the guarding because it is counter rotating. You might trap your fingers, your hand in it. So for pulley belt, the rotating part of it is protected by the guarding. And then the basic one, if it is a fan, it should be protected. Whether the fan, the rotating blades of the fan is made of plastic, if it is made of metal, then it is more hazardous lah. And also back conveyors, it should have their own guarding also. So we have adjustable and also fixed guards. So depending on the suitability of the equipment, the process, you should use either fixed or movable guards. For example, this wood saw, it has this self-adjusting guarding. So depending on the exposure of the wood saw to the one it will be cutting, which is the wood. So the part that is exposed is only the part where it is contacting with the wood only. So this is what we call adjustable guarding. Other example, for example, milling machine, circular saw, and other example. The other one is interlocking guards. This allow for safe access to operate and maintain. So the interlocking guard, when both part is not interlocked, the guarding is not interlocked or touching the sensor, the equipment will be able to be operated. So this is to ensure that you are away from the equipment before you operate the equipment. So by putting in the interlocking in place, so that this is when you are able to operate the equipment. So without the proper interlocking between the guarding and also the sensor of it, you won't be able to operate the equipment. I'll show you one example. This is an incident that happened in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I got it from the internet, and it also happened actually. This is a famous incident, not famous, a regular incident that happened lah, when you are using grinding machine. So say over here, shortly after he began to work, the grinding machine, the grinding disc shattered. The hazardous one is the grinding disc lah. It shattered into fragments. Although the guard was fitted, you noticed before, the grinding machine have their own guarding for to cover the spinning disc. Although the guard was fitted, some of the fragment hit the left hand, which was protected only by thin glove. So usually, if you are using rotating equipment, especially grinder, you shouldn't be using rubber glove, something like that. They should use a proper glove that could protect you in case of this thing happen. So other than that, you should also always wear face or eye protection. At least it won't cut your face or your eyes lah. He sustained a deep open cut. The grinding disc was designed. So the problem is the grinding disc was designed for a maximum of 6,000 RPM, but the grinder was designed to rotate at 8,500 RPM, which is nearly 22% faster than the permitted speed. The problem is the grinder is designed to rotate at higher speed than the disc. So the disc couldn't cope with the rotation, the RPM of the grinder. So that's why when it couldn't cope with the speed of the grinder, it just shattered. So lesson learned is when using grinder, make sure the speed of the disc is suitable with the speed of the grinder. So if it is compatible, then this kind of incident won't happen. So that's all for this recording. Thank you.